No, you have to just step on that website. You have to literally go to that website. From Safari, type in Combo Apps. Just like this on the overhead, you'll tap on where it says you already see our future app. That image should prompt to install. Yeah, go through the on that website at the bottom. You'll basically from your phone click on this link here to send me your UDID if it fails. What?
I just sent you.
Okay, great. When it loads, it'll load sideways. You should get a couple of prompts when it first starts up to accept building it, notifications, something like that. And you can go through those of you that haven't installed. Those of you that won't install, you can go through the www.getu.id.io link to send me your UDID, and I will add it right now. If you, who's already just sent me yours just now? Okay, cool. Yes. You have to do it from your device. You have to go to that link from your device to get you. If you don't have what? If you don't have an iPhone or iPad, don't worry about it. I'm gonna have you use mine. Yep. So if you don't have an iPhone or iPad, don't worry about it tonight. I'll have you use mine for the lesson. Eventually, we'll be getting the iPads in, but we don't have them yet. So I wanted to get this covered because we need to do it. All right, got Terry's. Terry just sent me. Terry and Riley's is the two I got tonight. UDID. And Riley already had yours, but yours should be installed already, I think. Okay, I'll show you this part since you haven't seen this before. What I'm doing right here is I'm adding in Terry's UDID into the developer account, my developer account, so Terry can test this app. The other way we're going to show you how to do tonight is do what's called side loading, which you don't need a developer account to do that, but we're going to do this one first. That way I know it's on your device. But you'll notice I have about 200 individuals 200 at a time can be testing your apps. You can upload up to 100 in a file. But you just need the name and then the UDID, and then just click continue. It tells me his is 7+. Is that right, Terry? All right, and then hit register. And then I will done. And Alexander, set me yours. I'll do Alexander's too. Yeah, go ahead and come on up. I can hear you with the fan. I'll have you come up. Yeah. No. Did you send the UDID to me already? If you didn't send me the UDID, you have to click on that link there. Go through that process. Follow the steps, and it'll come to a page where you'll email me your UDID. Okay, if you look on the overhead as well, I'll show you on the Xcode side what's going on. And this is being recorded, by the way. So here is the I'll show you the whole app, what it looks like via Xcode. While this is loading, you'll notice on the screen where it says the signing profile is NIU RVC ad hoc. That is basically a profile where all the users that are testers are in that profile. And the reason it says ad hoc is so you can test it prior. It's actually a unique profile called ad hoc that you can test outside the App Store. And you can literally test that. You have to refresh the profile every year, but you can literally do this over and over again and test your own apps and have people test your own apps. But here is the global view of the app right there. And this, I believe, is the front page. And what I've got to do now is I've got to go in here to the Xcode Preferences. I'm already logged in, but I've added some users to the profile. And so if you look on the overhead, I'm going to go down to provision profiles down here. Distribution. There's an NIU RVC ad hoc. Click edit. And I'm going to check all, but I'm just going to show you the new ones that are added won't be checked in here. So there's the two that's been added, and you notice it does not have a checkbox. I always just check all like that. That's what I generally do. Now click generate, and then download. And let's see, should have one more. Did you get yours sent to the, didn't work? Okay. Okay, so yes.
It's still not allowed.
What up?
It's not allowed.
No, I've not sent it out yet. Nope, I just added your name. You did email to me, right? Yeah, I've not added it yet. I mean, I've added it, but I've not compiled it yet. Okay, now that I've compiled them, I'm going to download the profiles, the new ones that have been added by clicking on Download Manual Profiles. Then in Xcode, I'm going to change it from the simulator iPhone 7 Plus to generic iOS. This allows me to compile the application to what's called a .app app. I have it highlighted on the overhead. It's an executable that will be compiled. I'll upload it to a GitHub page, the same one that you registered, that little web page. I upload it to that. Then when you click on it again, those of you that didn't work, it'll work this time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and compile it. It'll take just a few moments. Once we get this done, one cool thing about this process is you will also be able to test the app that's going to be in the App Store in the next probably 30, 45 days. You'll be able to test it, yes.
How long does it take for an app to go through the process?
A couple weeks, usually. Yep. I just got a call from California today to get approved as our campus was approved as a developer campus to publish apps. I've had one for a while, but the college didn't have a profile. Now we have our own Rock Valley College profile. So this will be our first app on the store with the Rock Valley College profile. So once all the testing goes through, we're looking at probably launching it in end of November, 1st of December, something like that. And so, but yeah, a couple weeks at most. Yeah, sometimes faster than that, especially if it's a free app. It's usually faster, which this one's going to be. So what it's doing right now is it's actually compiling all the assets on the app. Here in just a second, you'll see another screen pop up that will let us go to another compile screen to basically export it. Anytime you get a prompt to allow things, allow all when you're going through this process. And by the way, I do have a step-by-step we'll go over on how to do all this. And you can do this without a paid developer license. I'm using a paid one. You can do what's called side loading without a paid developer license. You just basically, if you already have an Apple ID, you can use that Apple ID to side load all your apps to your devices. The benefit of doing this way is my testers, I can just tell them to go to a certain web page, like I had you guys do, tap a link, and it installs the newest and greatest update. The side loading, you have to literally plug it in each time to update the app. But at least you get to do it for free. It doesn't cost anything. All right, so it looks like October 16th at 4:49, NIURVC version 1.0. I'm not going to upload it to the App Store. I am going to export it, though, as an ad hoc, because that's the profile I created for it. But notice I can do App Store, ad hoc, enterprise. This would be just for internal apps only for an organization to use that would never make it to the App Store, which most developers live in this world right here. I live in this world here. That's where I make most of my money is right here, okay? Because these top two, generally for like advertisement, promotions. So unless you're a company like EA Games, you're probably not going to make a living on the App Store. Does that make sense? Not say you can't. Not say you can't have an awesome idea like Angry Birds, and you know, not saying you can't do that, but most likely you're going to be living here in the enterprise world, where you develop apps just for that company to use, which I do that quite a bit. So anyway, I'm going to go to ad hoc. Oh, and the last one, development. This would actually be if I wanted to distribute it to, say, just you guys, which were all developing the app maybe, and that was it. That's the only people on the team to test it and develop on it. And so, but ad hoc lets me basically, all I need is a UDID like I got from you guys to do this. By the way, the App Store does not need the UDID, because once it gets to that level, You have to create a brand new profile just for the App Store. You publish it to Apple's, it's called Connection, Apple Connection. You upload all your images for the, icons, the App Store, and all that good stuff. Then they have to approve it, or they deny it, one of the two. If they deny it, they tell you why. Generally, when they deny an app, it's generally because of artwork, okay? If your artwork looks a lot like other apps' artwork, they will deny it. I've had mine denied for, I had an app that kind of had the word Dropbox. It did have the word Dropbox in it, and they didn't like that, so I had to take that out. I had to rename it to Drop Photo, I think. It said Dropbox Photo. It's Drop Photo. Had it drop the Dropbox. Had to drop the box. So stuff like that. I'm going to go do ad hoc. Now, here's the next step is going to be either fast or slow. What I generally do is I'm getting towards the end of development phase, I will keep these checked, because what this does is these two checkboxes rebuilt from bitcode and strips with symbols. What it's going to do is make the app really small as possible, and it's the same type of options used when you go onto the App Store. But to make it faster while I'm testing, I just usually uncheck these, because what's basically happening is it's exporting everything as is. The only thing I'm going to be concerned about, by the way, when it's done is that .ipa file. That's what I'll upload to GitHub. I'll show you in a second. So click Next. I have to select the profile. That's the certificate. That's the profile I already showed you that has everybody in it, in that profile. If I click on this icon here, it actually shows the bundle ID for this app. Well, during development is com.cconkle.niurvc. I have one certificate, 4 capabilities to it. I've just added the last couple days push notifications. We'll be able to push messages to the app once people start using it. In-app purchases is in there, but we're not using it right now. Game Center's in there. We're not using that, but that's like the default. You can't uncheck that. Keychain sharing, that we're not using. That's the default as well. And that has 5 entitlements. These are actually keychains. One of them I'll mention is this one right here, this com.apple.developer team identifier. That's needed to develop the app or to test the app and to push it out. So you'll see it's copying the niurvc.app. It's stripping the extensions, signing all the files. Once it's finished with this, which doesn't take long, it creates the IPA. Here at the end, it says it's available for the ARM v7 and the 64. That means all versions of iOS. I have this one down to like version 9.3 and up, I believe. It's lower than 9.3, it won't work, which should be okay because that's about a year and a half, 2 years back, something like that. And generally, I try to do that on a free app or something like this. It's going to be wide audience because there might be some people that might not keep their iOS updated, or they have an older device that cannot go to 10. And that's the case. So 9.3 was a max on the older devices, so that's why I capped it at that. And then click Export. And then here's what we'll export. I always export it to my desktop, and my home Mac is like a folder I call OTA for over the air. I'll do it the same on this one. I call OTA for over the air because that's what we're doing, over the air distribution. I just hit export. And I'll go to my Mac folder and show you here on the desktop. So in there, you'll see this IPA file. It's 11 megs. And that's the one I'm going to upload. I don't need any other file in here but that IPA file. That's the executable. Now I'll switch and show you what it looks like on GitHub. I want this page here where you tapped on that button. I'm going to show you what that code looks like so you can see it. Okay, so inside of the repo here, this repo only hosts the web page, the IPA file, which was updated an hour ago, you'll see. I updated an hour ago. These 4 images are for the configuration file. But really all that's needed to tap on that button, by the way, and Apple tells you all this stuff, and I have it in the steps, is this IPA file. You need 2 images, and these are just dummy images. See, they look nothing like the icon at all. They don't have to look like the icon at all. You have to have those in there. Let me go back. So you have to have a 57 by 57, a 512 by 512, the IPA file. You've got to have the manifest, which is this file here, which, by the way, Apple will create for you the first time. And I don't have to upload it after that. But you'll notice in this file, it tells me the path to the IPA, which is my GitHub folder, consoles.github.io, and it's right in the root of it is where I upload that IPA. There's the 57 PNG I told you about, 512 PNG. Down here, this has to be whatever the identifier is on the app. This has to be there, and Apple puts all this in for you. The version number, whatever that is. Everything else, this here, you don't touch it. The only thing you mess with is, and the first time you export it, is these 3 paths. That's it. Once you fix those, this is a static file. It doesn't have to be changed again. In fact, if you notice the date on this one, it was 13 days ago. That's when I first put it out. Hasn't been changed since. So let me go ahead and upload that IPA. Give it a few moments, and then I'll have you guys that gave me your UDID just a second ago attempt to re-upload or reinstall it. So it's not going to take real long, but the one trick part here, once you get through adding files in GitHub, you can't forget, or if you do forget to commit the changes, it won't save that IPA file. It'll just be gone. So, and I've done that before in a hurry. When I've updated something, want somebody to test it, uploaded it and forgot to commit it. You don't have to put anything in here, and I generally don't because I'm updating it so often, and I'm the only one that sees it anyway, really. So once this gets through uploading, I'll commit the changes. I'll wait a few moments. Then I will show you what I generally send my testers, and you guys, well, I won't send it to you, but you'll see it. And if you want to be a part of the testing community the next month, I will definitely let you do that. I'm not going to make you do it, but if you want to, that'd be awesome. You can definitely be a tester for me. I'm going to commit the changes. Do I know? Do I know?
I just said, what do you mean by testing?
Testing, I'll show you in a second on the email what I just sent my testers today. But it's not a lot of requirements. It's just basically going through some stuff we've made changes on. Let me know if everything works. Yeah, stuff like that. Okay. Let's see if that updated. It's kind of acted weird. Didn't look like it did, so I'm gonna do it again. Okay, while it's uploading it, I'll show you an email I sent out, kind of what it looks like. Okay, so here's an email I sent out today. It says, NIU RVC beta app updated and ready to test. Below, find a link to install. Same link I gave you guys earlier. Install, read, and test latest changes and submit issues. Thanks for testing. There's a link to one I just gave you. Notice the 2 version numbers, and each version number gives what changes have been made. Like the latest is updating the chat window, and then the last one before that was updating social page to determine if Facebook app's installed, updating comment spot on the web page on all mobile and desktop to show mobile app or desktop link, and fixed page toolbars. So we go through and test that. If there's no issues, you're good. If there is an issue, on that web page I gave you, there is a link here to submit issues. And you just have to become a member of this, which takes 2 seconds. And you can actually come in here and click a new issue and submit it. And then I can keep working on it. Pretty easy. And then when it's closed, you'll see a number of these have been closed that people have submitted or completed a list of things they need yet to do. Because some of the stuff isn't mine. It might be somebody in the team that needs to, there's a couple lists that are still needed here. List of areas students need help and advisors and important links for Doug, President Doug Jensen. So let's see where we're at on the upload. Okay, it looks like the IPA just uploaded. So those of you that sent me your UDID, give it a moment, refresh your Safari web browser on the page that looks like this. I usually just refresh it a couple times from Safari, and then you can click on the icon or the link on number 1 to install, and hopefully it should install for you now. If not, I had your wrong UDID. Or it's underneath version 9.3. Yes. Do I not? I already have it, so you're good. Yeah, your guys want you to be able to see it. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna check it out. We'll go through it in a second. We'll go over that for just a second. Kind of functionality.
It's that way.
All right, cool. Okay, so some are downloading, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over it on the simulator here real quick and tell you what it's about. That way you maybe decide whether or not you want to help test it, and then we'll go over the side loading portion. So this app is actually for the NIU RBC engineering degree, which you probably heard of. It's basically to help students stay on task with needing help with calendars, updates, events, talk to advisors, got a live chat. It's got a media page, video and pictures. It also has in there important links, social media. What else? I'll just go through the demo here in a second, so I'll know I'm forgetting something. Quite a bit of stuff for the students. And then the latest thing we're adding, we're still getting data from folks as well. That little allow button that popped up was the latest addition to being able to send notifications, which we're still playing with that. And after this app is done, we'll go right in and we'll do an app much like it for the Pathways, which is a kind of a college, in between college and or high school and college, letting students choose a certain pathway like programming, and they'll be able to tell what courses they need to take, what advisors they need to talk to, stuff like that. Okay, so the homepage is just a basic homepage. I'll just tell you the layout real quick. Over here is a static image. Over here is an actual web. This is actually a web module that pushes from a web page I'll show you in a second on a Rock Valley College website. So we have somebody update that dynamically. And a lot of this content is just, it's going to be changed for sure. This here is has a drop down for different menu items. Starts out with getting started, then mechanical engineering, goes into a sample 4-year degree. This comes actually right from the website. Some of these courses, if they're offered, they can actually tap on those courses. It'll tell if that course is available, if it's not available. And then the last is a manufacturing engineering technology online course where folks can learn from home. Talks about that one. Connections, we have happenings, job search, partners, scholarships, social, and links. Happenings is just a Google Calendar right now until we find something else better, or which I'm sure we probably will. But right now it holds data. It will hold data. There's no calendar events in there right now. Job search. This is actually a stored on a server. This is a node.js job page that can be updated dynamically. And like I put a dummy one here for Woodward for a internship, 20 hours or something like that, working around the school schedule. If you tap on this icon again here, it'll refresh the page back to the beginning. But these categories came from NIU. These are the actual internships that people have gotten thus far from the degree, and that's what we use for the different categories. Scholarships is just from our webpage on different scholarships opportunities. This will definitely be updated. Important links will definitely be updated. The president is going to be updating these as well. Then communication, we've got chat, FAQ, and advisors on the chat feature. This is a Node.js chat running off of a server. I'm offline right now, but I've been online throughout the day. Different people are testing it, making sure it works. But you can send a message here, it'll come right to me, or that it'll be rerouted to the actual advisor when it goes live. And at the end of this too, what's cool about it is the user can put their email in, and a transcript of that chat will be sent to them immediately. FAQ, this is actually a web server app as well. That I just built this from some of the information found on the NIU RVC page. And then advisors, there's 2 advisors right now, Dave and Matt. I'm sure there'll be more added. And then media, got photos and media or video gallery. On the video gallery, we'll add more, but this is the commercial that's out right now that they're showing everywhere on TV and stuff like that. So it goes full screen when it's done. They tap the screen if they don't want to watch it all. They can exit out of it, go back. And this does work for the iPhone or iPad. On an iPhone, it just basically scrolls through the images one by one. On the iPad, it actually has like 3 across and 2 or 3 down or something like that. That's the way that one goes. So we'll be adding more to that as well. So that's the app in a nutshell. They'll definitely be adding more to it and tweaking some stuff and all that good stuff. But Jesus has helped me with this quite a bit. Thank you, Jesus. He actually did most of the work in this connections area. Did all the pages and segues and stuff. Then we have another student, Noah, who did a lot of the media work for the video and photo gallery. And then we have Dave and Abby from marketing that's helped with all the media stuff. So if you are interested in helping test it, it'd be a good experience for you, probably, for sure. I am going to put at the end, I'll put like an about page somewhere in here, and I'm going to include all the testers that help put the app, help test the app, and all the people who were part of contributors of the app. I'll put it on here somewhere for folks to be able to see it. Probably on the app description on the App Store is probably where they'll be noted. So your name will be on the App Store if you help test, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. So that's an incentive.
I already realized a bug.
Do what now?
I said I've already caught a bug. Like right when I opened
Cool.
it, they said it was loading. I like tapped the middle of the screen, and then there's a keyboard that doesn't go.
Yep. Yep. Good. That's a good bug. And that's probably on this web module here. Right? Yep. Yeah, and I think somebody already submitted that one, but you can resubmit it for sure. But yeah, there's going to definitely be bugs in here. So I definitely need testers. So if you are interested in testing, shoot me an email after class. I will put you on the list, and you will be my testers. Okay, so that is the loading apps via profiles on the App Store. And I'll show you one last time on the Apple side of things. Right here. On the Apple side of things, you'll note these are some of these apps I have in my Apple ID are apps that are already on the App Store. Some of these are already on the App Store. So for instance, JStyle, that's an app on the App Store that my grandson and I created about 2 or 3 years ago. It basically gives people different hairstyles of whatever Jaden's hairstyle is. You can put your face in it and swipe different hairstyles. So he had the idea. Memory games, kind of like that memory, the 4-block memory game everybody's played with before. Also has a watch version of it as well with the watch kit. Memory Maze, that one's a college app to get people to note about the college and for college conferences, basically. We take that too. My Attendance, that's what you take roll with every night on Monday night. That's out there. A number of high schools and colleges use that. CIS app, that's our division app. The NIU RBC is the one we're working on. Pop and Me is still in development. That's actually one I developed for my grandkids and I. It's a storybook type app to where I can read a story to them, like in a video, and then send it to them, and then they can, mom and dad could play it if they want to. Even like one of our grandkids lives in Missouri, so that one's still in development as well. Search Attendance. That one's actually an in-house app that we use during our development days. We have about 500 people use this My Attendance app, but I created one called Search Attendance to where they basically can type in, if they forget their code or QR code, they can type in their number, their ID, and it'll pull up that code for them. Stenstrom is an app. You might have heard of Stenstrom Construction in town. It's still in development. Been in development for a while. It's for their gas stations that they own, quite a few gas stations. My Desktop is not on here, but there's one I have called My Desktop. My Desk, I'm sorry, there it is. My Desk, it's an app on the App Store. Aqua Guide, that's one for a local company I'm working on. It's going to be on, it's an internal app only for sales folks for Aqua Aerobic Systems. So anyway, that's just a few. I didn't go over all of them, but that's some of the highlights of them. So when you create an app, you have to have an app ID for development and publishing both. You have to have what's called a certificate for that Mac that you're working on or for the ID that you've created. For testing, you have to have testers, as you can see all the testers here. I've not created an Apple TV app as yet. I've played around with some, but I'm not creating one yet, but you can. I have created an Apple Watch, one just for iPad, one just for iPhone, iPod Touch. That Apple Watch app works on that. And on provisions, there's two types of provisions. Development only, and you'll see this one's invalid. I've not used that one in forever. Most of mine are going to be on the distribution side, like the Aqua Guide. These are mostly just active development only that I'm using. And so that's what these do. And these can be created dynamically, or you can create them yourself and then add certain users like this one here I showed you. This is I have to manually update it. It has 55 people in it right now for the NIU RBC. But this one here is done dynamically. You can't update users. This is actually created by Xcode. And this you don't really use. I don't use this for development. This could be used for distribution on the live, but we're going to use another one called, another developer account we have called Rock Valley College account. Okay, so let's go back to if you'll, in week class 9, there is a link here. It says click here to SideLoad. This takes to a web page, and from this page it says SideLoading, installing apps on an iPhone, iPad without $99 developer license. That's how much it costs for a yearly developer license. For the enterprise license I talked about earlier, it's $199. But for normal app developers, $99. I tell students, I'll tell you guys tonight, I generally don't recommend you buying a license until you know you're within months of pushing it to a store, the app store. because it re-ups every year. So there's no sense in wait. You know, I'd say wait till you think you maybe have a couple months left of that app during development cycle. That's why we just now purchased the Rock Valley College one, which because we think within a couple months we'll have the app ready for the App Store by then.
Now, what happens to your apps on the App Store after your license expires and you don't renew?
They'll take it off.
Okay.
Yep, they will. They'll give you some time though. Like I've had mine expire, my license expire, and I believe it's like 60 or 90 days, something like that. It's pretty good. It's not bad. And they'll keep reminding you because a lot of times, like in my case, I just forgot I ignored their emails saying it was renewed, and they still kept the app out there. So yeah, it's a good question. But if you go beyond, I think if you go beyond the 9 days, it takes it off and you have to reinitialize the whole thing again. This link here I'll show on the overhead. It's installing apps on iOS. This is something you can do at home or in here with your devices. Basically what you do first is you create a free Apple ID. So I know I've already had you create an Apple ID, but for side loading to work best, I found it's best to create a brand new Apple ID just for side loading. Okay, and this is if you're going to wait a while to get your developer license and you want to and after class is over, you want to kind of keep pushing apps. And the definition of side loading is taking your lightning cable, plugging it in the Mac, and then plugging it in the iOS device. Once you do that, you open up Xcode, go into accounts, you log in with that free Apple ID you just created, and it's not a developer account, and it shouldn't be a developer account for this to work right. Once you log in, you literally have the option to create an iOS development right within that environment. When you do that, by the way, it gives you the rights to sideload immediately. Apple realizes you're not a developer. It realizes you want to push your apps using this built-in sideloading, which they basically just opened up a couple of years ago. So you open up from the general tab, you'll go in and select your team, which is going to be whatever that email was. Say it's, johnnyboy@icloud.com. That'll be your team name. You connect your iPhone or iPad to your Mac. It will prompt you to trust or not trust that device. You have to be real careful. I've had students say no by default, and it takes a few restarts of your Mac and your phone or iOS to restart that again, which is kind of crazy. It doesn't do it each time. So say yes, make sure to say yes when you do it. There will be a button that says fix issue. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a temporary certificate, a temporary profile just for side loading. Okay. Now side loading will generally last up to 6 months, and then you have to redo it again. All right. There's talks they're going to up it to a year, but right now it's 6 months. And then you have to redo it. You have to reconnect that device again. You compile and run it. Once you compile and run it, the iPhone or iPad will begin installing. Then it will fail. You need to go into your iPhone or iPad and the settings profile, general profile. You'll see your name in the profile. You have to trust it. Once you trust it, then you go back to Xcode, go to the home screen, tap and run the app again, and then it runs and installs on your device. So it's 16 steps, not a real long process, but these steps are tried and true on doing side loading, and you don't have to have a paid account to do it. And in fact, step one's crucial. I had students use their existing iCloud account, and it's messed up stuff for them on their iCloud account, like especially if you have your card attached to it or something, your credit card or whatever. So you don't want to do that. I just say create a brand new free one. Just takes like 5 minutes to create it, and then use that for your side loading. Now I do have in my steps an account you can use to test, which is a free account called rvcipads@gmail.com. There's a password that you can attempt to use it if you want to, but I suggest creating your own pretty quick. That's just for in a pinch, like when I put that out there when we did an in-class a year ago, and I didn't want to wait for everybody to create their iCloud account and then make sure to verify it. We just use that one, okay? And that it does work, but I'd recommend creating your own, okay? Once you create your own, you can basically use any apps you've done up to this point. So if you wanted to use one from last week, week before last, week before that, that'll work. And just follow the steps in the document I just showed you. Takes in totality about 10, 15 minutes to get it all up and running, roughly. The tricky part is, again, making sure it's a free ID, making sure you trust it, making sure you trust it on the iPhone or iPad, thank you, and trust it on the device. Questions on side loading or loading apps over OTA, which is over the air like you did tonight? Okay, so how many thinking about becoming a tester maybe for me? The next 30 days max. It's not a lot of time commitment. Just go in, hop in, download this version, do some testing, find some bugs, submit them, stuff like that. That'll help out a lot. So thank you for doing that. All right, and your name will be on the App Store as helping. Let's see. Next, for your, submit your name in there. I think I just have you submitting your name. Let me make sure I can have you do that. Hang on just a second. Yeah, I'm going to make sure and put a text box in here so you can do that right now before I forget. Online text entry. Just submit your name into this week 4 or week 9 in class. You don't need to do the URL. Okay, so let's go back. Week 9 in class. Let me change that one because I changed the assignment one. Okay, I got both of them. Both the in class should now be a text entry. Just put your name in there. That'd be great. So you get the 10 points for doing it. Okay, for your take home, what you're going to do this week is you're going to spend some time creating a web page. You don't have to have any really HTML knowledge. You'll use what's called GitHub Pages, called G Pages. You'll create a brand new repo just for this website, okay, on GitHub. There's a link on how to do it, but I'll show you real quick on the overhead how to do it in front of you. Here's an example of one. And all we really need, all I'm really looking for this week is the title of your app or working title of your final app. It can change. And a working description of your app, what its functionality is. And then you'll submit the URL of that GitHub website below. So I'm going to record this so you can see exactly how to do it. This link above will show you as well. It's a different way to do it, but I'll show you how I do it. But here's a live example of a cool drop photo that was actually a real test page for people before it went to the App Store. Cool drop photo. Requirements was it accepted the location prompt. They had to also accept it. They also had to have a Dropbox account. It was the 2 app requirements. Cool drop photo allows you to take a photo, caption it, and save it to your Dropbox account without using your photos on your photo space on your phone or iPad. It doesn't use your phone space at all or your iPad space at all. Secondly, a PDF file is created, has a photo embedded in the PDF with a link to the GPS coordinates where that photo was taken. And then a View Files button is on the app to download the PDF and images from Dropbox. The photos and PDF can be found in the Dropbox folder called Secure Drop Photo. That was actually the first name that I wanted for that, but there was some other name out there, but I actually like that one better. But anyway, there's somebody else that had a name Secure Drop Photo. So it ended up being just Drop Photo in the App Store. But what I had them do was, you can do this as well. I didn't do it for mine. For this one, we're doing for NIU RBC, is they could actually, if they have a QR code reader, they could just point to this QR code and it would launch the newest and greatest app onto their device. It basically just, instead of tapping the image like I had you guys do tonight or the link, it just, when you do the QR code reader, it launches the IPA app for them and installs it. I had faculty, staff, and students test that. Went through the same, how to do the UDID thing like we did for the one I just had you do earlier. So that's an example, nothing real. And this is basically a built-in template too that I'll show you that they create. It creates for you basically. You just have to put in the text and stuff like that. So let me show you real quick. And again, this is being videotaped, so you can just watch it. I'm going to create a brand new repo in my personal account. I'm going to go down there, new repository, and I'm going to call this one, awesome app or something. All right? It's public. It's awesome app. And for the description, I'm just going to put in here final app for right now. And I'm going to click create repository. Notice that I didn't check the README, which I should have. But if you don't check the README like I didn't, it says we recommend every repository to have README. So you can click on this README and it'll create it for you. And commit file. So that's all I've got so far. Now what I'm going to do is go into the settings of GitHub and go down to GitHub pages. But before I do, I'm going to change it from none to master branch. That's where I'm going to put all my pages at. Hit save. Immediately, it gives me a URL, chucon.github.io awesome app. I don't have anything in there right now, but that's an actual working web page. But now I'm going to choose a theme. I'm going to go down here on the GitHub pages and choose a theme. And here's the ones you probably saw earlier. There's not a lot of themes, but there's a few of them in there. So I'll choose a theme. There you go. I'll choose that one. That's what it's going to look like. Is that all that stuff in it? Select it. You can preview it. And then I'm just going to commit changes right now. And go back to my settings because I forgot the URL already. And this is what I generally do. So see that URL that's up there at the top. I copy that URL at the top. And then I'll go back to my GitHub. And in here, my GitHub, I can actually, to the right of the GitHub repo, I can click edit and put in there the website for this, which is the one I just copied. Hit save. And it's going to keep it at the top then of my repo now. And so when I send this is what you would send to me basically for the final assignment or for the web page. Now, it uses a Jekyll. It can also use HTML if you're familiar with that. If you're not familiar with Jekyll, though, it gives really nice markdowns here to help you. So if you want something to be a header, you put a pound symbol in front of it, pound header 2, pound header 3, dash bullet list, number, you just start with the number 1, 2, and it'll make a number for you. Bold is this right here. Italics is this right here. You put the little underscore symbol before and after. Code, if you got code in there you wanted to show, you actually just put a apostrophe before and after. A web link, you put what you want the link to say in brackets, and then you put the URL in left right parentheses with no quotes. It'll make a link. Image, if you want to put an image in your page, just like this, exclamation point, the word image, and then the SRC would be the path to that image. If you have a path somewhere else or even on your GitHub page, you can put it there. Has some more information on GitHub flavored markdown, more information on Jekyll themes, more documentation links, but that's the basic stuff you'll need right there. That's why they put it there. It's basic markdown stuff that you can need to survive to get your website going. This will always be there. This view on GitHub button will just take you right back to the main GitHub page, which looks like this right here. Okay. To edit this README, I just have to click on it up here at the top where it says readme.md, hit the pencil symbol, and then now you notice I can go in there and edit this So if I wanted to put in there like a link, like I talked about earlier, you know, if I wanted to put in one for like say RBC or something, I can click preview. It'll show me what look, and you'll notice a little green bar here. What that means is it's something you've added. That's all it means. It's something you've added. Now, if I go back here and get rid of stuff, say I get rid of that first sentence there on number 5. Say if I get rid of that and go back to preview, you'll notice there's a red one here now. That's the stuff I just got rid of. Okay, this is stuff I just added. If I go down here and hit commit changes, go back to the root of my repo and click on that link, might take a few moments to show up, usually does. I've had to take up a couple minutes to show up. I know it's there though because of that right there. Sometimes it just takes refreshing a few times. And sometimes I've even have to like exit out of the browser, reopen it back up, but it will eventually update. Let's go to another browser like Safari, just to show you. There it is. There's one I just added, and that sentence is gone before. So this is a real hyperlink that works just like a normal hyperlink. So pretty simple, right? But that's what you're going to be doing this week is working on your final web page repo. Go back to that one. There it is. Questions? Pretty simple. And again, this is being recorded so you can watch this again. So that you have to have that done between now and next Monday. I'm extending last week's assignment if you haven't got it finished through, let's extend it to Thursday this week if you need it. And we have a lot of time to spend on this to get your, you know, working title, working description, and definitely you could use my example here in this week of cool drop photo. And you can use the one I sent you for the NIU RBC. That's an example one as well. Questiones? Yep.
Like if I'm using a company that has a website already made.
No, do you want to do this one just even though you're using one that's already made?
Okay.
Yeah, just so I know you know how to do it. The reason I'm doing it is anytime you're creating an app in iOS using Xcode, you always want to create a web page like that just for your testers only, for sure. Like if you're advertising it for the wider audience, you wouldn't want to use that, right? But like the NIU RBC app will have already has a Facebook page and stuff like that. We'll use that for the public, but the GitHub page we'll use for testers. Does that make sense? So this is actually going to be a web page for testers, really. That's all it's going to be. So it'll end up being once as time goes on this semester, you'll put links just like mine in there where I can click on it and download your app, install it, all that good stuff. And you'll be able to install other people's as well in here. Because eventually, but my hope is that you guys will, you know, by week 13, 14, I'll have all of your source code from Xcode and I can bring it in, export the IPA, upload it, and then bring it into your GitHub page for you so you can have other people test it. That's the hope anyway. So questions? All right, so you're gonna have fun creating a web page this week in GitHub. It is a lot of fun. It's nothing real hard to do. You can spend a lot of time playing with it though, especially if you know the markup language is new, but it's not real difficult to learn. It does take basic HTML if you don't want to mess with markup language. It will use basic HTML if you know that. You don't have to use that though. Trying to think of what else. And you can look at the examples I gave you on the in-class, plus the NIU RBC to help you get along. And that's it. I would encourage you to do the side loading at home if you can. If you have a Mac, you can try it at home. If you don't have a Mac, you can try your side loading here sometime in the week, next week. Bring in your iPhone or iPad in and following the steps on the side loading. Just remember to create your own Apple ID that's free, totally separate. And I do that just for side loading. I have a number of IDs just for side loading. That's all I use them for. Okay?
Why do you have one?
Do you know?
Why do you have one?
Why I have multiples? When I'm creating an app for a client, I create their own Apple ID initially and their own Gmail account. Because you can use a Gmail account for Apple ID. So here's what I do. When I create a new app for anybody, first thing I do is create a Gmail for that app, whatever it might be. So it's, ABC123 app, that's what I call it. Try to get as close as possible at Gmail. Now I use that Gmail to create the Apple ID. That makes sense. And that way I kind of know, because I've got so many projects going on sometimes, it's easier to remember what the apps were. And I do keep a private repo on GitHub of just all username and passwords sometimes as well. That way I don't have to remember all. That makes sense. So that's a good question. Any other questions? So what we did tonight is beneficial because this is what you actually do in real life. This is what we did tonight. You're doing all the time as a developer, all the time as in real life. As far as some of the check-ins, I'll show you as far as before we go, just to give you an idea of how many IPAs over a time period. This is like that one I think I showed you. It was what was it? 3 weeks. I think it's been 3 weeks. Let me just give you an idea of what a life cycle looks like. I'm gonna log into my Mac at the house real quick to show you. With TeamViewer, it shouldn't take too long. I've logged in earlier, so it should remember me. All right, so let's go to my Mac here. This will give you an idea of how many iterations you're doing as a developer. And again, this one's only been out for 3 weeks in the test world and for my testers to test. And what you're getting ready to see is how many changes it's been through in 3 weeks. And I'm going to show you a folder of how many IPAs are in there, and you'll be able to get a taste for roughly how many changes you could have. And I'm just going to go to my desktop real quick so you can see it, and we'll be done. Okay, so I'm going to go to my desktop folder and the IPA. Okay, so I'm going to try to make it to where you can see it. So I'll start at the top. Okay, so let's see, 10/16, that's today. And then we'll go down to the first one. 10/2 looks like. Trying to select them all here. There you go. 40 items, just 40. Okay, so 40 iterations, 40 updates since October 2nd, and it's the 16th. So that's how many tests. That's how many tests have been pushed out. 40. There's 40 check sets. 40 versions. 40 versions since the 2nd. If that gives you an idea of how many changes. Each one of those changes could be some small, some a lot. So, like this last change within 24 hours, had 275 files changed in the last 24 hours. So, because as you get going, and as people start testing and start giving you stuff to fix or stuff to make look better, it goes a lot faster. Make sense? And it's not uncommon for testers to get, I don't know, 3 to 4 emails a day of new tests out there to test on average. So, but again, and Jesus has been helping. It only takes them 5 minutes to download it and look at it and run it, and then they're done. It doesn't take all day to do it. So, but I thought I'd show that to you because that's a real life app that we're working on. That is just a one project, probably 7 I'm working on for folks, and so that's to give you an idea of what it takes. So, but anyway, shoot me an email if you're interested in testing. I'll definitely use you. I know a number of you raise your hands. You know what you're doing for the week. I'll give you an extension through Thursday on last week's, and have fun creating your webpage. All right.